Hi everyone. I don't want to start with my name because I'm sure most of you know it by now. I'll start with two adjectives that best describe me. That's blessed and grateful. I'm sure you must be wondering, what am I blessed and grateful for? A lot of good things that must have happened in my life, right? But what if I was to say I'm blessed and grateful because of all the mess, all the discomfort, all those unhappy things that happened that should not have happened? You know, when I used to watch such videos of people speaking and saying these things, I would rather feel angry. And often think, do these people really mean it? Can you be grateful about the things that are not so good, not so comfortable, not so happy in our lives? Maybe I used to reflect upon it a little too seriously, and Cosmos heard me. She said, why don't you experience it yourself? Well, that was on a lighter note. But this very beautiful talk called Twilight, this platform called Twilight, I think reassures the fact that nature and the law of nature is working around us all the time, tirelessly, to ensure that there is a break of dawn at the deepest dusk. In Yan, that night must follow day and day will be followed with night. It talks about the two opposite forces, but how it is always meant or always was meant to complement each other, to cooperate, not to work separately, but to be interdependent, to be intertwined. But I don't know when things changed so much that we started behaving or working or functioning as two different entities. Night would always have some element of the day, and the day would always have a little element of the night. I'm going to talk about some areas of my life which might be inspiring or motivating to you. I'm not sure, but I'm certainly not going to be talking about the sad parts. I'm not going to talk about broken relationships, nuptial bonds gone wrong, faith turning into bad taste, distrust, heartbreaks, trauma, crying. I'm going to talk about something positive. I'm going to talk about what it gave to me. But to do that, I think the storyteller in me urges that you first get to know a very interesting story, which is about an army officer who was posted to some very, very far off peak in the Kashmir, snow-laden part of Kashmir, where only the officers and Jawans were allowed. But because of the beauty of that place, the women or their wives, their families were allowed to join them for a couple of months in the year. It was the time up to these women, and the families excitedly reached their husbands. In these number of families, there was a lady who was carrying and was soon to deliver. She was all excited about being with her husband and celebrating the new arrival. And things were going exactly as per the plan. 40 days later, after the baby arrived, suddenly there were all sorts of avalanches and a lot of sudden snowfall, because of which the army cantonment had felt that immediately the families needed to be evacuated before the roads shut down for a very long period. Well, talking about evacuation, the only way to get through to the other side of the hill was to walk through snow-deep mountains and walk for continuous 14 hours. Yes, you heard me right. While everybody got into commotion, they started practicing how to walk in snow, and there were practice sessions with trench coats and snow boots and big woolens and heavy woolens. This little couple was wondering how are they going to get the 40-day across 14 hours of snow. They checked with the doctors, who told them that it could be very dangerous because the baby could actually get a cardiac arrest and should not be walked through the snow. Well, there was adversity everywhere, but the eyes did not stop looking for opportunities. The father had heard of somebody called Flight Lieutenant Gill. He was known as the Maverick. Why? Because some time before, once he was flying the courier hepter of the army from one place to the other, he noticed the body of a Jawan, a BSF Jawan, in the snow. He actually landed in the middle of nowhere, rescued that body and got it back. due to which actually the officer lost 6 months of seniority. Yeah, you heard me right, because it was against the protocol of the army to land suddenly in the middle of nowhere. So the father reached out to Maverick Flight Lieutenant Gill and said, this is the issue. What do I do? I'm an Indian Army officer, have to follow certain protocols, but I'm a father too. What will happen to my 40-day-old baby? How will she or he survive that particular hailstorm or that snow or that chill? What are we going to do? Well, Flight Lieutenant Gill smiled and said, don't worry. 6 months of seniority or another 6 months of loss hardly makes a difference. I'm going to ferry the baby across, but you have to remember, I'm a male, a courier hepter, which means that the baby has to be packed in a way that it looks like a courier. Well, it was a very, very hush-hush kind of an operation that was going on between these two people. Like a courier with baby bottles and diapers and all things that she may require in the coming few hours when her parents were going to be away. Soon the baby was transported through the hepter from one part of the hill to the other without the parents even knowing who was actually going to take care of the baby on the other side. But such is the Indian Army, and salute to the bonhomie, to the brotherhood, that they bond so beautifully that the baby could be trusted with an absolute stranger. I'm sure all the women, the mothers especially, who are listening to me, you can imagine what must have happened to that mother when the hepter took off with the 40-day-old. Well, later, when the mother was interviewed, she said, when I cried through those 14 hours of walk through the snow, I could not even feel my tears, because before I could wipe them, the snow blizzard turned them into snow. So such was the plight, fretting and fearing and praying. They reached the other side of the mountain, hoping to see their child hale and hearty and alive. Well, what do you think happened? A complete stranger who was a bachelor himself, who had never seen a baby in his life, talk about handling one, had actually taken care of that little baby for 14 hours, fed her, changed her, entertained her, and ensured that she would live on a beautiful life. More than 4 decades later, guess what happened? More than 4 decades later, I, Neha, the same baby who was transported from one hill to the other, narrate this interesting story to you. So you know the baby lived on, and you know that in adversity is hidden opportunity. And I am a byproduct of this. So you can imagine a baby born into adversity with parents converting it into opportunity was the very core learning of my life. Life moved on, and my father was of a very firm belief that if a woman needed to fly, if she needed to touch the skies, there was only one thing that she needed very, very badly, and that was education. And I was a complete opposite. Like most of the young girls, extremely excited about catching up with life, extremely excited about getting married, starting a new life, because for me it was like an escape from education. Well, I made the blunder and jumped in. Very soon to realize that I had lost something immensely important in that process, and that was self-respect. Very soon I was not just mocked at, laughed over time and again, but even called a parasite for living and thriving upon somebody else's property, somebody else's blood, literally. That's when I started realizing what had gone wrong, and how right was my father in saying that to break the ceiling, to have those wings, to own those wings and to fly across the skies, a woman must concentrate on education. That is my first and my biggest message that I would like to give through this beautiful platform. As women, please don't second your education. Without wasting another day, I hopped on to all possible courses that were easily available. With the little pocket money that I had, whatever I could afford, I quickly started studying. Course after course, certification, diplomas, degrees, I did not stop. Because the more I studied, the more I learned, the more I realized who I was. I was not discovering education, I was discovering my own self. I was learning about my own self each day and how I related to the world around. Things that I loved doing, things that I was good at, things that the people in the world needed and I could contribute with. At the same time, I was enjoying my motherhood with a little beautiful girl. Time flew past, and very soon I started looking for work. But in this duration, I also realized one thing. My education gave me the freedom to breathe out of a toxic relationship. I would not like to say that it was a bad marriage. Rather, I would like to say that I'm very thankful to the man who came into my life to show me certain things about me which I would have never realized otherwise. I'm greatly indebted and deeply in gratitude to the person and to all the circumstances that life threw at me which made it difficult to breathe and live in that toxic environment. Because had it not happened, I wouldn't have reached out to education, which was the best thing that happened to me. Soon, me and my little daughter moved out to a different city, and we started with a meager salary of 2,400 rupees. A very small yet a respectable amount because I was earning it myself. I had worked towards it. In months, you wouldn't believe, friends, but I think in months, my life took me to a point which was unimaginable. I was one of the highest paid female trainers in the country, which were training men or I would say people on cross-cultural etiquettes, which means I could teach a man how to stand, how to dress, how to eat, how to drink, and maybe even how to talk to a woman. I can't tell you how liberating it was, not to be paid for that job, but to do that job, but to tell people how the counterparts should be treated, how to carry themselves as men. And I still remember the condescending looks with which men looked at me when I entered the training hall for the first time. They looked at me and almost said, "A woman will teach us how to tip and how to hold a wine or a champagne glass. She's going to tell us the difference between red meat and white meat. Are you serious?" But yes, a few hours from there, that moment, from that situation, I was the one who taught them, and trust me, they were grateful to learn. So it is not about what I did, it is about what we can do when we start spreading our wings. The journey did not end. One course after the other, like I said, I kept studying and concentrating on the fact that me and my girl had to both study and learn together. Years went by. We kept equipping ourselves, upgrading and upskilling ourselves time and again. I would here like to take a little pause to remind all of you that all this does not mean that there was no broken heart, there were no shattered dreams, or I did not fall on the floor and shatter several times into several bits and pieces. I did. But the beauty of shattering is when you're put together, there are certain parts that you leave behind, which are redundant. And there are certain new parts that come to build you, and the new you who is transformational, who's unstoppable, who's more confident, who's happier, who's lighter, who's more grateful for all that has happened and more prepared for something called life. Well, as the journey went ahead and I worked with great corporates, banks, hotels, education institutes, schools, colleges, NGOs, whatnot, I came across some beautiful people. I wrote my book. I started concentrating on my PhD. My girl was growing up beautifully until and unless there was another person who stepped into my life and swept me off my feet. He told me I was worth every happiness. Today, I'm blessed with another baby girl. And I'm going to leave this for you and your imagination to now tell me what happened about the second marriage. How happy are we? Is it there? Not there? How is life now? I leave it to your imagination. All I want to tell you is, I live with my two girls and we are extremely happy. We are living. We are not just breathing. We are not just existing. Our little toddler, who's 10 months old, has taught us how to crawl. My teenager, who's 14 now, has taught me and my little world all about MUNs and extempores. Together, the three women in the house have a ball of a time. We read, we write, we study, we laugh, we watch movies, we eat popcorn, we go out for outings, and the best thing, we celebrate ourselves. We celebrate our time, our happiness. If I was to go back and start talking about what went wrong or what goes wrong in life, it would be an endless conversation with each one of you. It does not matter. People will come, things will happen, catastrophes will hit, disaster will happen when you're least expecting it. Things will get messy from corners you're least expecting. Hurt will come from corners you're least expecting. But does that stop us from being who we are? No, it helps us discover who we are. To all the beautiful women who are listening to me today, note this: all of us are like tea bags. We are meant or made as tea bags. Till we're not put in boiling waters, the true essence is not going to arise. So let those boiling waters get out the best in us. Don't stop. Even if you cry, it's all right to wipe your tears and stand back. Even if it hurts beyond words. Even if it is unbelievable how bad you may feel or how bad people may make you feel, remember to love yourself. This is the biggest lesson that I have learned from my life, and I would like to impart to my girls. Do not forget to love yourself. Do not second yourselves and what is important to you time and again. As daughters, sisters, wives, mothers, mother-in-laws, professionals, I don't know, by design or by default, we are always in a habit of putting ourselves second. We can get up and serve a glass of water to everybody when our feet are hurting with pain, but we can't get up to fetch ourselves that glass of water. Let things change. Let us fall in love with ourselves. It is all right to love ourselves. It is all right to prioritize ourselves, at least sometimes. Please let go the guilt. It is not worth it. Because you are truly worth it. The people or the women who love to love or know how to love themselves are women who receive a lot of love from the others around them as well. Please do note that. I'm going to repeat this. If you know how to respect yourself, if you know how to love yourself, you will earn that love from everybody around. Because it's only you who can teach others how you should be treated. So first, not just teach others, but even show others. So if you are showing the world you treat yourself well, the others will know how to treat you. Last but not the least, I would like to conclude with one thought. For years, we are living with the uncomfortable. We are getting used to whatever is dished out or served to us. We are being a part of the toxic. You know why? Because we've become comfortable with it. We are so scared to change, so scared to let go, so scared to even breathe or speak about it, that we have actually succumbed to whatever life has offered or put in our laps. But it is time to snap out. It is time to make decisions. Dust off all that dust that you've been carrying. Dust it off. Just let it go and breathe. Look at yourselves. Remind yourselves who you were and who you dreamt you wanted to be, and stop moaning. Yeah, misery loves company. It's a great saying. We can go on women to women, people to people, telling them our sob stories, telling them how cruel and unreal and unrighteous life has been to us. But what you can change about this is tell people how grateful you were that life was such to you, because that is going to help you discover who you are, like I discover each day, each moment who I am. If in any small way I can contribute to your lives by repeating my journey, one-to-one, in personal space, or reaching out or helping or motivate you in any which way, I would be more than happy to make this little contribution. Last but not the least, these kind of platforms which bring people like us ahead, I thank you, because we need it. We really, really need it. So I'd like to thank the platform for organizing talks like these and showing people that ultimately pain does not kill you. You will not die of pain, but you will die sitting in one place and waiting for things to change. That I'm going to tell you. So get up, shake up, and extend your arms towards life. Because life, happiness awaits you. Be grateful for each and everything that you have. Don't be sad for what you've lost, because what you've lost has made you, again I'm repeating, has made you who you are today. With this, I wish each one of you superheroes. You women, we women are superheroes. So I wish each one of us more power, more strength to stand up on our feet, to break glass ceilings and to shine on. Good luck and God bless you.